This is a huge announcement that I'm really finally happy to be able to publicly share right now, and if I get through this episode without crying, it will be a miracle. And after I introduce Josh and we dive into what is happening, because I have sold Coaches Cartel and we have the new CEO and head honcho of Coaches Cartel and Fit Pro Association here, and this is emotional for me, I've got to admit. This has been something that's been in the works for a really long time, and I'm so happy to be at this moment right now. It feels a little bit surreal. So Josh, as we go through this, I just want to say I love you, I appreciate you, I admire you. It's been amazing. I really want us in this episode right now to be, hey, what's actually going on? How has this process come about? What does the future hold? What's been happening? And really peeling apart. So if you are a coach and you're wanting to be able to build more freedom doing the work that you love, then this is going to be important for you. If you're a family or friend or a colleague or someone else, you'll finally figure out what the hell has been going on for the last little while as well. So Josh, you came into my world when?
Oh my gosh, it would have been like 2016.
Wow.
I mean, by the time we're shooting this right now, like literally 6-7 years ago. Before we move forward at all, we're 30 seconds in and we're both kind of breaking. There's only one of you on this planet. And before we get into what's happening, what's going on, there are two eras in my life. One of them is before I met you, and the other one is after I met you. I call it BC and AC, before Chris and after Chris, because I am not literally sitting here right now shooting this for you without us having the relationship we've had. And so no matter what I've done up to this point and all the lives that have been transformed and what's going to happen moving forward, you're tattooed in my heart forever, dude, because what you've done for me in terms of making me more skilled, better mindset, better leader, better communicator, you deserve at least part of that credit. So I have to say that. I found you on YouTube, dude. I was a face-to-face coach, and I had done, can we get into the, I want to share the real stuff. I don't want to do the surface level thing.
Surface allowed in this one.
And there's some things I've never said before that I do want to share today, because you deserve to know the whole truth, not just part of it. I was 13 years old. I was in middle school. Back then, school didn't make a ton of sense to me. Life didn't make a ton of sense to me. Like most kids, trying to figure out what is going on here. The only thing that did make sense was sports. And so that was the time where I felt home. It's where I felt connection. It's where I felt challenge. It's where I got to be in my body and start to piece together this character that I wanted to play in life. I walk into basketball practice one day, and my coach, John Lepowski, he came up to me before practices and he said, Josh, this was the moment I knew I was going to be some form of a coach. This was the moment. Try to get through this one. When I was in 8th grade, I had short, spiky hair. That was the cool style. Early 2000s kids, late 90s, you know that style. It's like a rap cover of a music video or a music album. Coach Lip, he comes up to me before practice and he goes, I saw my 4-year-old in the mirror in the bathroom at home last night. And he was taking water in his hands and he was trying to spike up his hair so he could be like you. I didn't know I was having that much of an impact. I thought I was just playing a sport. And that's when I realized this whole thing was bigger than me. I didn't know how to articulate that at the time. I just had a feeling of, I want to create that for other people and facilitate that positive feeling in some way, shape, or form forever. I don't also want to go on too long about this, but I know you, if you're a coach, you have a moment. And if it's not one moment, it's a collection of moments where you realize you were put on this earth to coach people. Think of that moment right now, because that was my moment. And it's a special feeling because I never forgot that, and I brought that with me. Because I knew I wanted to do that, I didn't know what that looked like. Back then, coaching was not really a thing like it is now. Super acceptable profession, people respect it. It's a cool thing to be like, hey, I'm gonna go study exercise science, get certified, start training people, training athletes. It's cool now. Back then it wasn't so cool. So I end up getting my degree in sport performance. I was actually a PE teacher. So I was in the schools helping kids. Loved those freaking little kids, man. It was so much fun. Hated the income. Hated the lack of freedom, hated the lack of creative freedom to say what I wanted to say. I had to fit their mold and their curriculum that actually didn't help me very much as a kid, so I was kind of in an environment that I didn't believe in. Long story short, I go this entrepreneurial route of being a PT. No idea how to actually do that. I start training people at the local gym, like everyone else. I get certified, I get the piece of paper, and I start trying to help people. Once again, finding myself in a similar situation where I'm not making a lot of money, I'm not helping a lot of people, I don't actually know what I'm doing. That was hard beyond belief. Because at that, and this is the part that I don't think people would know. And if you're a friend or family member, it's okay. You probably knew something was going on. You probably didn't know it was this dark though, so it's all good now. This was years ago, it's okay. Because I know my grandma's gonna send me a message, I got 2 years into being a face-to-face coach. And I was good enough to be dangerous as a coach. Like I actually started to figure out, hey, this is how I teach people how to do a squat. This is how I talk about nutrition. This is like my philosophy. The problem was I didn't have enough clients to share it with. No one taught me how to do marketing and sales. And a lot of coaches at home will probably relate. You're good at taking care of people, man. You're a good coach. You're a good encourager, probably a good teacher. But you probably weren't trained on how to market, sell, do advertising, email marketing, building standard operating procedures, scaling a team, leadership, culture, the business side of coaching you probably don't know because no one ever taught you. That's where I was. And it got so bad, and you have the photo, whoever's editing this, put this up because I want people to see the moment that I decided something had to change. I was deciding whether I wanted to be alive or not. When you're not making money, it's not about the money, it's about money as the scoreboard for giving value. And I wasn't making much money and I didn't feel like I was providing much value to anyone. I didn't, at that time, I didn't see a way out. I just didn't. It was that bad. When you're in an environment where you haven't seen success in that specific area, I didn't know any coaches that were making like real money and doing it on their terms and being creative and traveling. I didn't see anyone in my circle, I guess, do that. And so if I knew it couldn't get any worse, I just had to make the choice that I'm going to try to search for something somewhere that could provide that gap. Or that would have been it. That's where I found you. And that's why you mean so much to me. There's part of this story that you probably don't even know. I found some tall, dark, handsome Australian guy on YouTube after I bought a bunch of piece of crap courses from business gurus that didn't provide any value or access or help in any way, shape, or form. Found you, spent about 6 months sitting on the fence, watching your stuff, figuring out, can I actually pull this off? Still dealing with all of the darkness of what has happened in the last several years, wrestling with, I know I'm capable of something, I just don't know what I'm doing, particularly with the business side. Long story short, I joined the Coaches Cartel, I become a client of yours. Within a 5-year period of time, I go from 0 coaching clients online to have coached 15,239 people as an online coach. Spent 2.5 years at a $200 million fitness brand where I was hired technically as a nutritionist, but then I really started to find that voice and build who I actually am as a coach and my identity. My sales were triple what everyone else's were. And this is a company where only 5% of coaches that applied got a contract. 1 out of 200 coaches. I get myself into that role and then I'm like dominating the best online coaches in the world. It's crazy to say, knowing where I came from. They then asked me to turn around and coach the coaches on how to make more sales and how they could market and sell better because they were all good coaches. Once again, just didn't understand marketing and sales. So then that leads us to here, where I guess 24 months ago, I go all in and work with you full time. So after coaching 15,000 people, I thought, well, I think I won the game. I don't know how many people have coached that many people. I go, do I have to get to like 1 billion people before I feel good about myself? I go, oh no. I think the way I'm gonna make the biggest impact in this world is coaching the coaches. Because by giving them a better business and better coaching systems, they will then go on and coach their 15, 20, 50,000 people. And I think that's how I impact people at scale. That leads us to this moment. I know there's a lot going on right there, but if you feel like you're in a dark place, or you're working a job you don't want to be working, or you're grinding out face-to-face coaching clients still, or you're not making the money, or you're not helping as many people as you want, and you're asking those dark questions, I'm not saying I have the answer, but I can surely shed a little bit of light for you here.
I appreciate you sharing that so much, dude. That's amazing. And thank you for having the strength for that. And I am so happy and glad that you're still here with us and continue to this day. It's incredible because from my perspective, I have this Josh Vago reach out to me many years ago. This guy jumps on a call with me and I kick his tires, he kicks my tires, and I'm like, you're a good dude. I can see, hear, feel potential. This feels like a good fit for what it is that you're looking for. You became a client, and to be perfectly honest, he was the shittest client when he first started as well. Like, you fence sat like a mofo for ages, and it was like getting better, but not. It was like, dude, it was like really creepy crawly. And then it was very much a case of, like, when you got started with me as a client, like, dude, you didn't have much. And I really respected you dropping the last dollars that you had to be able to get started. I don't take that lightly. And so then seeing you stagnate for a while was frustrating from a coach's position. I was like, I don't think every coach has this feeling of like, why isn't this person pulling the trigger on what I'm doing? And then me having to do my soul searching with, well, how do I become better to ensure this person? Like, how many times have we said to clients, like, I'll drag you across the line. I will get you to
all the time.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the level of responsibility that we want to be able to take. Then you really started to hit your straps, and it's just been amazing watching you go from strength to strength to strength. And then you coming on board as a part of the team of the cartel. When was that?
I think it was January of 21.
Do you remember that conversation?
Yes, yeah, of course I remember the conversation. If you're fortunate enough to have like these moments in your life, that's one of them. Yeah, if you have 5 or 10 moments in your life, that's absolutely one.
What was it from your perspective?
For me, it was a matter of, I needed to make a decision. I needed to figure out what game I wanted to play and win. And the problem and the, at first, hesitation was I had to let go of that previous version of Josh in order to step into the next one. I got really good at something, and I was really building good momentum, and I had a guaranteed 6 figures coming through, and it would have grown exponentially. I had to walk away from that pretty much guaranteed money that I knew I was going to have, and that previous identity and confidence in that skill set, to then go do something similar but different. That's what I remember of, Josh, you gotta let go, but when you get good and you get a little bit of money for the first time, you wanna hang on so tight. I remember that.
Yeah, because it was interesting, like, there was the case of like, you were getting better, you were getting clients, you were building a business, then we really hit some skyrocket things, like when you really started to build your team, doing like we've talked about, one momentous moment was like, you quadrupled your income and halved your work time within 3 months, doing like 8x your effective hourly rate just by doing a couple of things I was hammering home about for you to do.
I know, so that was great.
I appreciated that. And then when I was like, oh no, I want Josh as part of this team, I really saw the potential. That was amazing, because then you've come on board. And the thing I also want everyone to know as well is like, you've held all of the hats within the business, like you've done, and I think that's why and I want to talk to this inside of this episode, is like, what's really gone on to actually have this transition of business happen for you now, being head honcho, CEO, and having this ownership of this amazing thing that I'm so happy to pass on. And I just want to immediately say, as a reflection of how I've been feeling going through this, it's been very interesting how much I want you to succeed. And it was almost like, I felt like if I was selling it to someone else and it was like a financial buyer of the business, it's almost like, get it off my plate, I'm done with it, it's not my responsibility, wash my hands, I walk on sort of thing. But it's like, no, you've got this. And it's been very interesting because I do want to like talk about some details of like what this handover has looked like, because we've looked at each other many times
Here,
in this room
here.
right here, being like, this feels really easy. And, or like, I know for me, I've definitely been like overthinking. Like,
Me too, yeah.
2:30, 3 a.m. wake ups, morning after morning after morning, and I'm like, what am I missing? What am I not thinking about? How do I make sure this is a huge success on everyone's part? So I think that's really cool, because your transition from being where you first started to now the man I get to sit next to and watch you evolve is awe-inspiring. Awe-inspiring. It's incredible. It's amazing. And my confidence and knowing of what you're going to do moving forward, I am so looking forward to watching your success continue on with it. And we've talked many a time about one of the hardest parts of this process has actually been, dude, we're going to spend a lot less time together, and obviously still wanting to keep the personal relationship, but the actual professional relationship didn't mean that it stops from here. And so that's been very interesting, watching my emotional kind of like go through this as well. It's been very interesting, because obviously Josh's origin story brings us from where he shared to today, and so much for me with this business has really only been growing for the last 4 to 5 years specifically, of where it's like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, this is the business I want to move forward on. Because being a personal trainer in Sydney, building that business out, building a fitness business in Dubai, burning out again, then deciding I want to do online fitness in 2014, that was not cool.
No.
At all. Or heard of.
The original digital nomad.
Yeah, like, that was not cool at all, to moving here to Bali, building this business, and then falling in love with the business. And I remember those elements of being able to help people with the business side of things and seeing their life transform, and it gave me more good feels inside from the transformations I was giving my clients with their physique and their body. And that's where I came to a fork in the road during those years ago, of being like, oh no, I want to pursue the business side of things rather than the fitness thing. And for me, it was a conversation with the mentor Taki, where I was like, I've got these 2 businesses going, and like, what do I do? So it's been very interesting as well, because like, for me, I have this mentor where I'm like, oh, you see this entire transition go through, and I give him that. He's become such an amazing friend, and such an amazing person in my life that I'm so grateful for. And it's just been cool looking back, seeing this process unfold. It's amazing. It really is amazing as well. With the transition of the business, how have you found it?
It's been the most fulfilling as well as challenging transition that I've ever gone through. And that's a good thing. Challenge is good. It brings out, if we let it, the best of us. You would even notice a difference in me right now versus 21 days ago. The creativity, the problem solving, the organization, the attention to detail, the leadership, the certainty in my voice, that extra percent that you just wouldn't be able to get out of me if I wasn't in that position. What I have been thinking about more than anything is this concept of responsibility. I even break down the word. This is a 3 a.m. thought that I think about it. The ability to respond. It's responsibility. We have a team of about 15 people. We obviously have a bunch of coaches that we're responsible for. I've got to make sure those people are fed every single month. I got to make sure these people's businesses are rocking and freaking rolling. We have a software company, the FitPro Machine, where we build out FitPro software for them. I always have the numbers ready to go. $11,484 per year is what the average FitPro spends on tech. We actually don't make money on the software, we pay for people's software. So I gotta make sure software is good, dialed in. I gotta make sure our virtual assistant agency, my VA, where we build out coaches' teams, those systems are dialed in and perfect. Standard operating procedures, it's the only thing we talk about. I gotta make sure all of the ad copy and the social media templates are modern, up to date, even ahead of the curve of what's happening. I gotta make sure our internal team is feeling good, reporting numbers, making important decisions. I'm making content, I'm shooting videos, making sure the messaging, which we're gonna talk about, No Coach Left Behind, that project that I've put together, that's going to change the industry. I am responsible for that. I'm responsible for the processes and the people. That's what I've been thinking about. That's occupied all of my time, thought, energy. And I feel a deep sense of purpose when I'm connected to other people in the form of responsibility. And I also have the overthinking of, am I doing this right? What am I missing? How can I make this better? So it's been all of the emotional roller coaster of that. That's the transition for me. And I'll just be perfectly honest here, because we've been transparent here today, as we normally are. I am brokenhearted that our relationship professionally does change. And it's not like a 20-minute thing where I'm sitting on the couch just saying, but it'll hit me for 30 or 45 seconds every day for the last 30 days. We don't have many more meetings left. And we did our last quarterly planning.
We've got our second last dinner tonight.
We got our second, you know how many dinners we've done? And coffees, and we're looking at, you can't see this, a whiteboard where we've done all of our projects, all of the different problems we need to solve, all of the different campaigns we want to plan, moving around team members to make everything as perfect as, there's nothing on the whiteboard, bro.
It's been clear for a while.
Yeah, and it has been clear. So that's what the transition has been for. Responsibility for all of these people, helping people create more impact, income, and freedom is not a joke to me, and I want to do that well.
As someone that has started, built a business, and now exiting and handing this off, looking at you and watching you so lit up, so aligned, so on purpose, so committed, so right, is such a great feeling for me to have. Such a great feeling for me to have. And that was a case of when I decided and knew that it was time to sell. So again, transparency. We had talked for a really long time. What are we going to do with this business? Where is it going to go? What's the future of it? And me wanting to align you properly. I think a lot about incentives and being well, what's the incentive of, what's my incentive? What's your incentive? What are our team members' incentives? Everything, because we base on to be what we're incentivized for at the end of the day. And so it's been very interesting, because when I was really sitting down, I was like, what's Josh's incentive? And when you got back here to Bali, we had a dinner that next day after you got here. And I had the realization just before, I was like, I've been building this for you. Dan Kennedy says everyone goes lame eventually. And I remember, I forget what book he writes this in, but it was very poignant for me. And I was looking at myself going, am I going lame? What's my life like? And essentially, I kind of was peeling that onion, and I was getting back to I'm evolving again, and you've seen me personally go through so much, especially over the last 12, 18 months, I don't know. There's been a lot where I'm changing and evolving, and I physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally feel as a different person.
You are.
Yeah, and I was like, I have a responsibility for the business, and as I said, Jimmy, I think one of the key roles of a CEO is to be able to protect the business. And now part of that protecting the business is also protecting the members and the clients of that business. And if I was to truly look at myself and say, who is the best person to take care of those members and clients that we have that responsibility for, it was you. And that's when we had that discussion, not that long ago, that started this, what's this going to look like? And it went through iterations. There was ups and downs. There was figuring something out. There was like, yes, this is going to work. Oh, shit. To coming back and figuring it out. And the thing that I appreciate as well so much is we've been able to be so aligned in all of the conversations. There's never been friction.
No.
Like it's always just been like working this together. So I just want to say I appreciate that so much because I get to look back on this sale and exit from the business and be like, that was amazing. Like that was super cool. Like not everything's been perfect, but it's been, that's the stuff that actually outside of our control.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like to getting aligned. And so that's why I was like, everything in our control and how we have showed up, I think is remarkable. I think that's really, really cool to kind of like look back on that as well. And so for the point for me was a big one was, why did I sell? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of three businesses in one, to be perfectly honest. And for me, I really came down to the fact of I felt like I've evolved past and I need to be able to challenge myself and look at different areas and go into different paths that I have not before. There was a phrase that's really stuck with me through this, which was, I don't want to have more, I want to be more. Which took me through some real soul searching as to what that happened. I didn't know how much I'm sharing this with you, but it was only a few weeks ago and I broke down to Lauren. I felt so out of alignment. I had suicidal ideation throughout the couple of days before. I just felt dark. Like, I felt dark, wrong, out of place, dying inside, shitty. Not good words, negative. And that's when I knew that what we were doing was the right thing, but I had to find the right solution for it. And I had to look at it from different perspectives and angles, which was then suddenly it just clicked for us. And we were just like, we've got this. This is amazing. Yeah. So dude, I just appreciate that so much.
We're both going to get a lot of messages. Probably. I'll say this, because I know there's other stuff we want to get into. You have created so much meaning and value for not just me, for so many people. For the clients of the clients that you'll never meet, for me being able to see you with Lauren and your daughters at your villa, like in real life. You have so much purpose, and there's so many reasons for you to be here, and there's never a bad time to be reminded of that. And although the packaging and the wrapping of how you show up and how you provide value and how you create and build, that will change. It is changed. It already has changed. Your worthiness doesn't have to.
Because you know my demons. You've seen a lot.
I met them myself.
Yeah, and I've appreciated that friendship during it as well. What comes up for me now as well is I hope that us sharing this lays down a new way of thinking, a new way of doing for things, because all I want to get into next, like, what do you think of something like the nitty-gritty? People love the juicy details and stuff like that, so let's talk to that.
Sure.
And disclose what we can disclose. But I think there's a big case of we did things differently throughout this process, which is why we'll talk to after we disclose what we think people are the juicy kind of like details I want to get into. But it's like what the business now is and is evolving into, the No Coach Left Behind. That was us really looking at things from a different perspective. And some of the biggest issues and mistakes I feel like so many people are making right now, entrepreneurs and business owners and coaches, is a case of they're simply circle jerking with so many other people doing the same wrong, outdated things that aren't actually going to get them the things they want to get to at the end of the the day. And by re-looking at the model that they're working on, the incentives that they're working upon, that the reason why they're doing the certain things that they're doing to them, how they're actually doing the tactics and those strategies. Dude, like you've seen me, and this would be hilarious for you to talk to. The business now, compared to what it was 9 months ago, 12 months ago,
Hilarious.
utterly different. Like
Yeah.
you saw me tear it down and restart, do you know what I mean? And kind of be like, no, we've got to do this differently in alignment for what it is that this vision that we saw. What was your perspective going through that?
My perspective was the exact same feeling I had when I transitioned from face-to-face to online. When I transitioned from that version of Josh to the next one. Same exact feeling. I go from fitness coach to business coach. I am letting go of something that was good. It was good. Perhaps the best in the world already. But then we had to evolve and change again. So I knew this time around, I knew what the feeling was. And I go, oh no. A lot of times progress and growth does look like and feel like destruction. And it was a case of, let's take a half step backward to take a million steps forward. That was the feeling I had. So I knew it was good and necessary because you were the first person to bring up this idea. I've heard no one else talk about this. Forget fitness business, just business in general. Being the all-in-one solution from start to finish for a fitness professional to get certified, to have paid advertising running, to have a marketing calendar, to have all the ad copy and email marketing done, to be trained on sales, how to qualify leads, how to close deals, how to convert people that don't know who you are to know who you are to become a client. Every step of the way on how to coach people online, software technology, team building, onboarding, daily, weekly, monthly standard operating procedures for how to deliver a world-class coaching service. The technology to bring it all together. No one was talking about from point A to Z. You were the first person to do that. So on a gut level, I knew the best businesses solve the problems for people that are experiencing them the best. And the best way to do that is to solve all of them. I knew that when we had that initial conversation, whenever that was.
That was tough.
It was.
That was tough. But I think we knew what we were getting ourselves into. We knew we had to chew glass for a while to get through a bunch of stuff and to be able to get that right as well. When it comes to us sharing, being like, yo, big announcement, do you know what I mean? I'm out of the business.
Bye, Chris.
I sold this guy's head honcho, amazing things. What do you think are the stuff that people are going to be asking that we won't be able to answer?
People will probably want to know the details of exactly how much you sold it for.
Yeah.
Which, if we can say 7 figures,
Yeah.
we probably don't need to give any more detail than that.
Yeah.
It's the biggest check I've stroked in my life. But if you are running a business or thinking about running a business, don't think of it like a job where you just have to give your time and then you get money. An asset is something that you can pay for that produces cash flow, hopefully in far larger margins than what you paid for. So I'm happy to pay 7 figures because this will be an 8-figure company, if not 9. Like it's literally going to be a choice as to how big we want this thing to be because we're that good and there's that many people wanting a solution that is complete and total for building and creating a great coaching career. So yeah, people probably want to know how much.
I remember in our negotiations of price for the business,
Yeah.
you saying, and this was a bit of a defining moment because I had to gut check myself very clearly. You said to me, you will make millions more if you hold on to this just for a little bit longer.
I did say that, yeah.
And it was very interesting because for me, that's where I had to, there was a fork in the road where I was like, I either become a liar for the rest of my life or I truly stand in my values right now and I have to put my money where my mouth is. And I want to be able to, see there's a couple of things. When we talk about like confidentiality, we're like, look, this has been a multi-million-dollar business and this is selling. And it's funny how people are like, how much? And it's like, I understand why people ask that question. There's a couple of reasons why we decided there's certain things going to be confidential, which I think is very good. But also in the case of, I don't want people to think that's the scoreboard that you look at and you base everything on. And so for me, it was a case of because have you ever heard me in content talk about how much money I make?
Specifically, no.
Yeah.
No, you're not that guy.
I'm not. That's just not.
I'm not that guy. That's why I resonated with you. I'm not that guy either.
That's not the game I'm playing. And that's the thing. Like, there are plenty of other people that are doing that, and that's the game they're playing. And how about it? That's amazing. And there's zero wrongness with that as well. And I think for me, it's a case of I want to be able to maybe help people look at a different scoreboard or look at it differently, so that they gauge their happiness, fulfillment, worth, their life on, rather than just being dollars in, dollars out, and how much is in a bank account. Because I don't want to play that game of who has the most dollars in the bank account wins. Because for me, that's not the game that I want to be playing as well. And so that was very interesting, because when you said that to me, I knew I had to pause and go, oh, hang on, this is when you actually decide. And especially with so much of what I've been talking about recently and want to talk about more, is a case of like, well, when is enough? I want to write this book, enough is enough. And that's when I knew I had to be able to be like, no, okay, you've got to choose right now. Do you do this or do you not do this as well? Which I thought was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been amazing, because one, kind of the nitty gritty details that I know really comes up when it comes to exiting and selling your business is like, how does it actually happen? Like, how long does it take, and all of these kind of things. And what was amazing for me that I'd love for you to really talk to the point of was how quick this transition from literally us signing on like, okay, we're going to do this, and knowing how long it is until I'm actually out and you're 100% in, running forward from it as well. Because it was a really short period of time, and it could have been a hell of a lot shorter, because we literally had a meeting. Halfway through the meeting, we look at each other and go, we've got nothing else to talk about or do right now. It's chop wood, carry water. So this was something I brought to the table a while ago, which was, it comes from like the Buddhist stories, like before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Which is mean, whether enlightened or not, you're chopping wood, you're carrying water. There's the daily fundamentals, the principles, the actions that you just need to be doing. So just do them no matter what. Mm-hmm. And so for us, we just looked at ourselves and we were just like, dude, just chop wood, get on with it, sort of thing. So for you, with this transition from when it was like when we signed to when we know doing closing date is, how's that felt for you?
It's been 30 days, like legit, it was a month. Feels amazing, because we did so much foundational work for years, and we've trialed and errored the crap out of this thing, and we've built things up, torn them down, moved around team members, hired new people, let go of certain other people, changed the way we think, changed the scoreboard we use for success. We've had to go through so much personal growth to be the type of people that could build that type of a business. It's been amazing for me, because the foundational work made this quick and easy. I also want to give us credit to touch on what you mentioned earlier. I would say we've communicated in such a flawless way throughout this, when the logistics of actually buying the business were super challenging, and international stuff and different banks and how's the loan going to be. We always found a solution. And for us to have the type of relationship where that type of communication could happen with the foundational work we've done, overall, it's made the transition super easy, super smooth. We've never had more people interested in actually joining what we do here. We've had probably the best 7 days than compared to the last 7 months. People are vibing with the message. I feel like, can we talk No Coach Left Behind? I can't go any longer in this frickin' talk without talking about this. Big idea moving forward. I am the anti-influencer. I speak for, represent, and lead the everyday person. I'm not talking about the influencer from LA with 7.2 million followers. I'm not talking about the person that has 25 different brand deals from apparel companies. I'm talking about the face-to-face coach that's been grinding it out for 6 years, knows they're capable of more, don't know how to do this online thing. I'm talking to the single mom that wants to leave her job, spend more time with her kids. I'm talking to young Josh, 21-year-old dude, pretty dark place, just needed some help on the business side. I'm talking to the people that don't feel like they're represented in this business coaching, fitness influencer, social media world. I've got like 170 followers on Instagram. I've got more before and after transformation pictures than anyone on the planet. What's the scoreboard for success? Are you here as a coach to truly transform people? Or are you here for likes and comments? I represent the real coaches. I call them gangster coaches. Nick Thornhill, who is a new team member here at the Cartel, who's going to be helping me coach the coaches. Nick's a gangster coach because he won't mind me saying this, we've talked about it a lot. He made 15 grand a year for 6 years as a face-to-face coach at the local YMCA in the middle of Missouri. $1,000 a month. Here's the thing, he loved it. He couldn't fathom working a traditional 9-to-5. He couldn't fathom doing things that did not align with what's important to him. That's a gangster coach. And I want to help the gangster coaches that really are about this, that really love people, that really feel like they were put on this planet to do something. Like one of my big philosophies recently is, we're probably all going to die. I can't say it for a fact, but I could be pretty sure. If we're all going to die, we might as well do something meaningful and useful and fun and do it on our terms. That's the big picture concept moving forward. And the idea with No Coach Left Behind is, particularly in the United States, I can get at least part, if not all, of your scholarship and membership here at the Coaches Cartel, which will become the Fit Pro Association, funded for you. The only reason people don't join us is they don't feel like they have the money, which is kind of ironic because they don't even know how much we charge. So they're just making a false assumption based on a gut feel.
Because a bunch of other business coaches charge thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for a bunch of videos.
Which I get it if someone's skeptical right now. Oh, yeah. No. We don't do that here because it doesn't mean we're a volunteer, free nonprofit. We do charge a pretty penny. But the idea is if I can get access for you to the same principles that built the fastest growing fitness company that's ever existed, 0 to 200 million in 5 years, that was the company I mentioned earlier, and give you the coaching system that got me a 97% positive customer service rating over 15,239 people. If I can get you access to that stuff and to not break your bank in the process, that's the idea. No coach left behind. I represent the everyday people. That's why I'm the people's coach. It's why we made the t-shirts. If you feel like you want to create more impact, income, and freedom, whether it's subscribing to the YouTube channel, listening to the podcast, joining the Facebook group, booking in for a call with us, get connected with me because I am you. I'm not some guy that studied marketing in college and then went to Silicon Valley and had a $12 billion exit and now coaches the coaches. I grinded out the internships and the assistant coaching jobs, and I did all the certifications, and I graduated with magna cum laude honors in my exercise science, whatever. But I am the coach that actually coached people and actually builds coaching businesses. I just want to mention that because I don't see anyone representing those people, and I am their guy. I'm your guy.
I think it's tremendous. I know you're going to transform not just so many people's lives and their businesses, but the industry as well, because there is a real need/want for that to be able to happen. And that lights me up. That lights me up. Like, that's so cool. Like, I believe that a teacher, which is a label I would like to put upon myself, his real goal, intention, is to have his students do so much better than themselves. It's an evolution of getting better and better and better. I want my children to do so much better, and I see you do so much better as well, which is tremendous. I think it's the coolest thing ever. So for us to be able to be, Josh saw, with the first video you saw of me in that white collar shirt.
For everyone at home, I make fun of Chris for this probably twice a month, every month. It was, you're in Seminyak? Yeah, you're at a villa in Seminyak.
Wearing the shirt I got married in.
If we get a screenshot of it, put it up, because I want you at home to laugh with me here. This is hilarious.
It was like 48 views of the video.
I was 12 of them. Here's the fun part about it, because those were the early days of the cartel. You were clearly still trying to figure out what you wanted your voice to be in this space. because you had made the transition that I made, fitness to more business fitness. And you were like, you're trying to have a look, but I've never seen you wear a shirt like that since then. And the video was like really well scripted and well thought out, but you were a robot. Yeah. Like, it wasn't great.
I was talking like one sentence chunks and having a look at my script and shoot.
It definitely wasn't the one take show that we can produce now, but yeah, oh my gosh. So why do you mention that?
Well, I think it's funny because a video that I shot quite some time ago that got 48 views or something like that has turned into us sitting here today with this. I think it's pretty cool, which again, then I want to look back and maybe point to and be like, it's not about the likes, the followers. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was not a successful video if we deem it by those, do you know what I mean, metrics, but it was a successful video. That could have been one of the best videos I've ever shot, because without that, I ain't shooting this today. So that's kind of cool, as I had that idea pop into my head as well.
How amazing is that for the average coach, though, that's just listening to this for the first time? Yeah. What if this was the piece of content that helped you make that decision or flip the switch? And if we could create videos like that, and we're a couple of meatheads, you at home have the same potential and power and influence to do that for others. It's that one video that you're just shooting while you're inside your car before you go train, all cracked out on pre-workout. You're like, hold on, I've got something to say. And you might stutter and stammer through it, but then you get a message from someone saying, hey, that really helped me. And we get those messages all the time. They go straight to my email inbox. And I go, oh, like, I slept 4 hours that night before I shot that video. Well, I actually wasn't even feeling that good. I actually thought, maybe I'll do this tomorrow, but I did it anyways. And there's no barrier to entry to being able to do that. You could do that right now. So maybe a little exercise for the coaches that are still like hesitant of putting themselves out there. What's something that's really important to you? What's something that maybe just helped you in your journey? Go shoot a 60-second video and post it today. I challenge you to put yourself out there and actually do that, because that might be the thing that leads to something in your own way to be as special as this.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so I think when it also comes to nitty-grittiness, I think something that I want to ensure that I really talk to be able to help you, and especially when it comes to the entrepreneurs wanting to be like, oh, I want to build a multi-million-dollar business, I want to be able to sell, I want to be able to achieve blah, blah, blah. And when we were able to have a 30-day handoff transition period, it was, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it was only because it was built so beautifully.
You're right.
I had the systems down. It was something, and this is where a big difference is. There is a huge difference of building a business that is you being the dancing bear, and which is nothing wrong with, but you being the dancing bear of this business, and it just being like, I'm going to continue this thing, compared to building a business that can sell, that can be an asset that is sellable, whether you want to sell it or not, but it's an option that's able to sit there as well. Because it was huge for me, because for me before, do you know what I mean? It was the Chris show, do you know what I mean? And that's where it was a very big transition. I think especially with coaching businesses, where like people say you can't sell coaching businesses, but the thing is you can if you do it differently, and that's where systems come into place. Like that is where you've watched me bleed through my forehead for quite some time on ensuring that the team, the systems, the structure and the foundation, that's everything that it's built upon, is flawless, or as close to it as possible as well. And I remember when we sat down, my desk is just over here, and you sit down next to me, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to show you the entire infrastructure of how this is built so you completely understand this, because this is going to be yours. Well, the conversation took 15 minutes. And I was like, and you were like, oh, this is it. And I'm like, yeah, this is it. And you're like, this is it.
Yeah, that's my face too. Is that your Josh face? That's funny.
And I was just like, and I think that's a cool thing, because it comes this I will do one of the episodes coming up. I will definitely talk to the biggest lessons that I've learned going through this period. But I think that's one thing that's very important, because people I know will be watching and listening to this, being like, well, I want to do that too. How do I do that? And I want us to be able to help those people in that situation from both angles, seller and buyer, for when it comes to that, because there is a big difference between building a business that is a sellable asset compared to having a dancing bear business, and if you stop dancing, the money stops coming in.
Mm-hmm. I will say this, I don't think that transition happens as smoothly as it does if I had not sat in every seat in the organization previously.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I think...
Dude, you grinded.
Yeah.
You grinded, you did shit in areas, and we had great conversations and then fixed those, and there was a process.
I will give myself credit for that. I'm the rare CEO that has answered the one-on-one emails. I've done over 1,000 consultations with coaches around the world in the last 12 months. Like, I've had those conversations with people like, hey, I've got 60 days left of money, what the heck do I do? Yeah. I've worked with the virtual assistants to build out their lead nurture scripts. Like, I've done the qualifying calls.
Which is brilliant, by the way. The results is just, I look at Slack, which I've only got a couple of days left on, and I'm just like, oh, they're crushing it.
And I've tinkered with the software. And I've written ad copy, and I've done videos, and I've done live videos, and I've DM'd people saying, hey, did you see the... Like, I did grind it out, which means as the entrepreneur and coach listening to this, you can feel some level of confidence and reassurance knowing that I've actually done this. Like, there's a lot of people in this business guru, personal development, fitness influencer world that have not done the things they are teaching you to do. I like analogies, so it's the only way life makes sense to me. Let's just use a direct coaching analogy. Let's not do relationships or hairstyle. But coach. Would you take a coach's advice on how to coach people if they have one before and after transformation? At least I did it once, but for me, I don't know. What if they have 100? Okay, that's better than one. Well, maybe they know what they're doing. What if it was 1,000? I go, whoa, they might really know what they're doing.
What if it's thousands?
What if it was thousands? And what if they did that over a relatively short period of time? In order to create a result, you have to have a process that is duplicatable and replicatable. Inside your coaching business right now, here's a sobering question. Do you have every aspect of your business? Marketing, sales, coaching, software, advertising, team building, operations, accounting, to name 8 of them. Do you have every action inside each of those 8 areas of your business documented? And not just each task within those 8 parts of your business, but how to do each of those tasks in each of those 8 areas of your business. And do you know when exactly, on what day of the week you are doing those tasks? And do you know how long each of those tasks take you? Is all of this documented, and is all of it being followed? That's the key separator. So when you look at a guy like myself that's coached 15,239 people, you can look at that and say, oh, well, if he coached that many people and 97% of those people said, he knows his stuff, I like him, thumbs up customer service rating, that means you know there is a process that has been battle tested, pandemic proof, because almost all of this happened during the pandemic. A time where people thought selling coaching wasn't possible. That's when I quadrupled my business. I go, oh my gosh, everyone's at home. Everyone has no accountability, no structure. They need help. This is the greatest time ever to be an online coach. Guys, if you're not doing this by now, figure it out and get yourself sorted and do it. Because there is a window of opportunity. It's funny and it's also not. There is a 5 to 10 year window here where you can crush it. And then after that, I don't know if someone isn't already pre-established. After that, it's going to be really hard to get in and dominate this thing. So I just want to mention that because what made this transition work was the fact our standard operating procedures and every team member, we did a meeting on this. I ran a 40-minute long meeting on, hey, you're doing this is how it's going to go, how do you feel? And the team loved it. They go, I know exactly what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and how to do it. That's how you build a real business, whether you want to sell it or not.
So cool.
Side tangent. We tend to do that here.
So cool. Oh, well, I think from my perspective, it's a really amazing thing to be like. I put a lot of time, effort into ensuring that was built, and seeing how that then got transitioned to you, to then you being able to lead the team through doing that in such a quick, easy timeline. Oh, dude, so good. And that's the thing as well, is like, there's nuances to it that do take elements of, to me, needing to know it very well to be able to get to the right solution, and then obviously being able to do that with clients and members. So I think that's really cool. This has been so radical, being able to go through this.
Can I share one question?
Please.
This is how I determined you were the guy that I was going to follow. And not follow on social media, like follow as man-to-man, leader, mentee, mentor. Who has the life and the business that I would be happy to trade places with? This was the question I intelligently and intentionally asked myself 6 years ago. I said, okay, this guy's a good dude. Just on a gut level, I like this guy. That was one box that needed to be ticked. It's not objective, I'll be honest. It's a gut feel. I said, okay, I like the guy. He's in shape, he's healthy. Awesome. He's built a good business. Tick that box. He's got the personal finance situation, so the financial freedom box is ticked. Super creative. Love that. There's a spiritual element to you that some people may not know, and I know you're talking more about that, which I love. Like, okay, a lot of times, especially the early stage coach or entrepreneur, we ask the wrong question. And therefore we get a wrong answer, and then we operate with information that might be irrelevant or invalid entirely. For now, if you're in those early days, stop asking yourself, how do I set up Facebook ads? or like, what helps me determine who my niche is? Those are logistical things that are not as important as this one question that I'm going to ask you right here, right now. Who has the business and life that I want? It's not what, it's not how right now. It's who. And for me, the answer to the who question was you. So you at home have to figure out, what is the criteria, what is the scoreboard for success? For me, it was impact, income, freedom. Did they help a lot of people? Did they make a bunch of money? And did they do it on their terms? So I think people don't know what they're looking for, which is why they just see someone on a private yacht and then say, buy my course. And they're like, okay. I'm like, no, be thoughtful and intentional. Who do you want to learn from? Who do you trust? I think that's important to mention as well, because that's how we ended up here.
Yeah, dude, 100% is. It's good. Okay. Before we wrap this, let's talk about future. Mm-hmm. When it comes to Coaches Cartel and Fit Pro Association, what does the future hold?
I've planted my flag in this, and until I find a better way of thinking or operating, I'll probably take this to my grave. I'm that certain. The first and foremost thing is our free content is going to be better than every business guru's paid stuff. Every course, every mastermind, every webinar, my free stuff will be more practical, more tactical, more strategic, and more useful than anyone's. And that's free. That's particularly YouTube. It's also the podcast. It's also our private Facebook community. It's also the email list. We already have 750 YouTube trainings and over 350 podcasts. I want to, in 40 years from now, I want to see 7,000. I want to see 22,000. I want to have a volume and a quality of content that no one else can match. Because you should be asking yourself the question, wow, if I really like these guys' YouTube channel, and I've watched 27 of the 750 trainings, if their free stuff is that good, how good is their actual mentorship and guidance? Number one, I'm committed to giving more value away for free than anyone. That's relationship-based, that's process-oriented, that feels right to me. And no wonder why it feels right. That's the same exact thing you've done over the last 7 years. Second thing is, so that's the thing. The content's for everyone. The content is for everyone because of the customization, because of the bleeding through the eyeballs that we do for our actual paying clients, I don't see us ever working with more than 330 people at a time. That's about the math that we went through of, okay, we know how much time every client takes, how much can we realistically work, and about 330 was the number that I came to, so we'll never work with more than 330 coaches at any given time. And what I want to be able to do is I want to have more lives transformed through this than I did with fitness. So that means whenever it's all said and done for me, which won't be for a very long time, I'm too young, I have too much energy, I have too much excitement about all this stuff. I want to have more than 15,239 businesses and lives transformed. That's 15,240 people that left their 9-to-5 job that they hate. That's 15,000 people that travel the world like we have. That's 15,000 people that either left face-to-face coaching or do face-to-face coaching on their terms because their online business grew so much. That's 15,000 Elisha Allison that go from $4,000 a month working face-to-face to over $20,000 a month online while living in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma. Shout out to Oklahoma. That's 15,000 Nick Thornhills that go from making $1,000 a month to over 5xing their income in a 12-month period of time. That's 15,000 Joshes cleaning toilets and towels at the local gym. Show the photo again. It actually happened. To now being here and doing this. I want to help more people through business than I did through fitness, because I know if I'm coaching the coaches and they go on and coach their 5, 10, 15, 100,000, a million people, at the end of the day, I think we're all doing this stuff, hedging against one moment that maybe it'll be like this, maybe it won't. I envision what I call the deathbed moment. I'm on my deathbed. I know I've got 24 hours left. What do I want to be thinking about? What do I want to be feeling? What would I regret if I didn't do? What would I be proud of that I did do? What are those key pivotal moments that I will think of in that moment? And one of them is this one. And for me, I want to maximize this. And we'll do that through our free content, and we'll do that by creating the most value and the complete solution for the coaches that work with us directly.
Love that too. It's so good. And I think as well, like, to really share behind the scenes of it is, there are so many people selling the content stuff, like the videos, do you know what I mean? But, but what we've created and what it actually is behind the scenes when someone comes on board, it's the doing, it's the doneness of it. This is the few things that just need to get ABC'd and you get the result, which I think is tremendous. And I think it's also a huge evolution, change, growth in the coaching world also, which I think is really cool.
Well, it's not traditional coaching. We've escaped the matrix.
Yeah.
We've broken and redefined and innovated what coaching is. Traditional coaching, as much as I love it, is extremely flawed, and no one is talking about this. I'm gonna do nothing but talk about this concept alone for the next 3 years. The idea of coach-client. I teach you information. We have to meet up and I have to give you this information manually. You then maybe go execute it, maybe you don't because you're scared, or maybe you don't know what to do, or maybe my teaching wasn't clear. I then don't know if you even did what you needed to do. I then think, oh, Chris didn't do what he was supposed to do. I have that feeling, but I actually don't know, so I have to ask. Hey, Chris, did you do what you needed to do? You go, yeah. Like, all right, I don't even know if Chris is being honest right now. Hey, Chris, did you do it, man? You go, no. I go, hey, Chris, I believe in you. You can do it. You go, okay, you go do it. You then don't do it well. You then come back to me and say, hey, Josh, I did it, but I didn't do good. I said, okay, well, let's fix it. You then have to go meet up with me again. I have to reteach the same thing I already taught you. You have to go do it again. The point is, there's all of this time and all of this wasted space between receiving information and implementation. It makes the process wildly inefficient, which means you have to spend so much time, energy coaching your clients on the same things over and over again. There are ways to be able to help a lot more people in a much smarter way, which is why when people join us at the cartel, I gotta get used to saying Fit Pro Association. I even got the t-shirts and everything. Like, I need to say FPA. When people come on and join us, ad copy, done. The emails you send people, done. All the DM scripts and the lead nurture follow-up, done. Your coaching system, you could onboard 10 coaching clients today. It's done. There is no space between me teaching you anything. You can run with it from today. You could close 10 people today. You could sell 10K worth of coaching or 1K worth of coaching right here, right now. I think that's what I have to give us credit for creating. We've revolutionized coaching because we've almost taken the coaching out of it because it's a done and complete system. That's freaking cool, man.
It's cool. And there's a great future
Yeah.
for Coaches Council and Pro Association too. It's wild. Because as I sit here and I'm like, I love everything that's ahead. For myself, there's Christopher Dufey, YouTube, Christopher Dufey podcast. There is a sabbatical period that I will be sitting in a void, ensuring that my next steps are what I want to be able to do. I've got some really good ideas, but I'm not allowing myself to pull my trigger on those things as well. And especially for me, when I look back, as I was an overweight kid, I learned to lose the weight. That's why I became a personal trainer, because I wanted to help other people go through that transformation. I then ran a really crappy personal training business both in Sydney and in Dubai. It was good, but it was not great, and it didn't give me the freedom that I really wanted, and burned me out from it as well. And then that's when I fell in love with the business, and that's when I had so many people starting to come to me and be like, how did you do this? How did you go from Sydney? How did you go to Dubai? How did you build this online business? And I was falling in love with the business, and then I was like, I want to help people build successful fitness businesses. And now getting to the point where I feel the self-worth and self-love, where I was like, wow, I've achieved really great things on my terms. I've been able to do this whilst having a marriage of over 10 years, being a father to 4 daughters, being able to take care of myself the way that I want to be able to take care of myself. And I didn't want to make compromises. I didn't want to be another example of someone that has climbed the ladder of success only to have dropped the ball in so many other areas of their life. That wasn't a challenge that inspired me. I wanted to be able to do it and do it while succeeding in areas of life all around it as well. And so that's for me where I want to continue answering, learning and sharing about how do I and we live a good life. How do we lay on our deathbed truly knowing that this was a fantastic experience that we're grateful to have had, and not to be regretting so many different things, not to be second guessing things, not to be wishing that we'd done things differently, and wanting to make the most out of a day-to-day scenario and enjoy the process as well. And so as we wrap this up, I've got to say, Josh, that this journey has been incredible. I respect you, I admire you, I love you. I would not have wanted to do this for anyone else. Feeling good all the way through.
We almost made it.
Damn it.
We almost made it. It's a one-take show. Don't cut this. Leave it.
And knowing what you're going to achieve moving forward is really one of the cooler things. And fuck it, it's been a pleasure. An absolute pleasure knowing to do this.
And thank you, Chris. It's an honor to even know you. And for both of us at certain points to have been in such a dark place, and for you at moments to have believed in me more than I believed in myself. There is no replacement. I don't do anything I've done up to this point without your guidance and your support and the actual strategies. I'm brokenhearted that the professional side of things ends, but as far as I'm concerned, we should get a damn matching tattoo or something at this point, because you are ingrained in my heart and my life and how I do business forever. So I thank you. I have infinite amounts of respect and love for you, and
If you haven't already, go over to Christopher Dufey's podcast, his YouTube, wherever he's at on social media, go find him and follow him, because his content is what started all of this journey for me and has helped so many people. So go get your hands on that information wherever you have to go, whatever you have to do, because he's that good at giving what is as close to the truth as I've ever heard.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to share this with you. I'm so close to make it. That was interesting. I lost that bet.
We both did.
I did. So there you have it. My chapter for this has come to a close, and I'm really looking for everything coming forward, and I hope you join me with this journey moving forward for everything as well, because I'm really looking forward to it. I know me being able to put my focus, attention, effort, and love towards this, I feel confident it's going to bring some fruitful stuff. So thank you. Thank you.